shamans, shamans were perhaps the first individuals to cultivate practices that took them to the uncanny. They were not liked by their communities generally. They're always suspected of doing nefarious things because they're uncanny. They're weird, even in their own community. They're odd people. That's what they're the ones that know, like the classic subject. Right? And I think the thing we need to know is that to me points to something even deeper that is I think, at the core of what's going on here in this discussion. And I keep referring to this book, How God Becomes Real by Lerman, who's one of the great anthropologists right now. And she talks about the reality of spirits and that they're not real in the two, like, so our culture, our standard modernity, we have the two ways in which things can be real. They can be subjectively real, they can be objectively real, and we don't know how the heck they go together, but we'll just pretend that's okay, right? And then what people like Heidegger and others have been pointing out is the older, basically, at least in ancient Greece, idea that what grounds the possibility of them fitting together is the most real. And I tried to coin that term, the transjective. And Lerman basically argues that a lot of the sacred phenomena are real in a way I would call transjective. And give me a second, because this ties into the very thing I think we want to talk about, which is these entities don't exist by our assertion as romantic or by our reception of them from the world smashing into us. Objective, remember, object means to smash into. They exist dialogically. And Jesus even says that where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am also there. Right? This is the idea that these entities are realized, and I know these entities are realized dialogically, right? Jesus is only, and again, I'm not making a metaphysical claim here, but Jesus is only real to you if you pray to him, if you talk to him, if you let him into your life, your life. Even your evangelical and fundamentalist language may use that word. And by the way, this is not specific to Christianity. This is Lerman's point. So this is a different sense of real, and if you'll allow me, there's a transjective realness, and it's very, very important, because the transjective realness that is approached dialogically, right, puts us on the horizon of intelligibility, and that's the place where we have to seriously play for transformation if we want to move from one world to another. That's the liminal zone. That's the roof of the cave, right? That place there. That's the cognitive roof of the cave. And what's happening in shamanism, right, is that the monological view of the mind is being directly challenged, because the shaman is basically they're in a dialogical identity with other entities, right? And
or maybe they're just chatting with the hive mind. This is the Big Ifs lend to the voice stream, and we got the Hermes by Stephanie, Neutrino with a little hand wave. There's Cassandra and Franco and Foxman and No, nobody watches Bitcoin stuff. What are you talking about, Foxman? What are you talking about? Oh, hey, Ups, how's it going? Greetings. This is basically what happened was the Sophiologist got Vervaeke to spill on his Hermes trip. I caught a piece of it. We're going to go over that. But first, this old masterpiece from Pet Cow's John Vervaeke Wave playlist. This thing you're watching, it's called Shamanic Frame Disruption into the Uncanny Valley. By Chris Petku.
Us to be possessed by the god, right? And they're challenging our monological mind. They're challenging our monophasic. This goes towards Capella's question about, well, what's a normal and what's an altered state of consciousness? I agree with David Lewis Williams that we should stop thinking of it as a binary. It's a continuum, right? And what we have is a certain state, and I think this state that we call normal consciousness is exactly the one that is highly coordinated with what Taylor calls the buffered self, the monological self that is locked and closed within, and it's protected by a barrier of completely coherent propositions that prevent any of this yucky stuff from getting into us in some ways. And the shaman is uncanny because it's in us deep enough, but it calls to us to the dialogical in some ways. And the shaman is uncanny because it's in us deep enough, but it calls to us to the dialogical. It calls us to the transjective horizon of intelligibility. It challenges the idea that there is one state of consciousness that gives us access to reality. And so that is precisely the issue. I think that's at hand here is the degree to which this uncanny stuff could be appropriated and also therefore misappropriated in order to afford the kind of radical transformation. I want to point out to you,
there's nothing wrong with your deduction. Your brain works fine. The problem is that you're not submitted to the truth outside of the truth that you want to be true. You're an ideologue.
Right.
You don't care if the baptism of John was from God.
Right.
You're not submitted to the truth.
Right.
You're too concerned with your own position and power and authority.
Right.
You're monarchical.
Dag blasted griefers won't let me use the train at the start of the show anymore. I can only use it as the close of the store. Look at this harassment from Sanji and Fox, man. Everybody's on board. Everybody's on board with no mixing up the liturgy is a sin. I've been called out for it. Well, we better get the savings throws out of the way. You remember how those go. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Let's see if the Indigo Kids can get a nat 20 on a Friday. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Survivalists with the 14 today. 14 today. Socialists coming in with the number 9. Lovers of wisdom. John Vervaeke special. Prime 19. Prime 19. Heart folks. 4 and 4. 16. 16 for you, 14. 14 for the Indigo Kids. Mostly safe. Everybody's mostly safe. Now, back to the lesson.
That you're invoking a Whitehead, but that's deeply Hebrew. The idea of an open future and that we co-create it with God, right? Whitehead is picking up on a very, I think that's something that has been deeply written into us by the Judeo-Christian heritage. And so, you're invoking it, right? But what I'm saying is it still fits in with this, and the figure. There's a figure that sits there. There's a figure that sits there on the uncanny, doing all of this shamanic stuff and trying to call us into the future, not foretell the future, but that's the prophet, right? And the prophetic figure. And so it's the weird triangle between the priest, the prophet, and the king. And somehow, Jesus is somehow supposed to do all of those. This is the uncanniness we have to get back, even as non-Christians. Jesus is somehow supposed to do all of those, right? And that's what's super uncanny about it. I'm reading David Dudley Hart's translation of the New Testament, and everybody is commenting, and I totally understand why. Because it makes the New Testament makes the New Testament weird again. like really weird. It stops taming down the Greek text to our modern sensibility and throws it in your face in a way that's like, and I keep, I'll read a passage like Lexio Divina, and I go, that's just weird. I don't know what that means. Like, and if I go back to the older versions, I feel like I was a little bit misled. I feel like I've been duped a bit. Because when I read these older translations, they make sort of wonderful sense to a modern mind that has gone through the Enlightenment. But when you read it, the uncanniness. So I'm trying to suggest possible bridging. I'm trying to show you that outside of the rules and the dogma, in the figure of Jesus, you've got all of these things. You've got everything we've been talking about in the prophet, in tension with the priest, in tension with the king, and somehow going beyond all of them in a way that's deeply uncanny. I'm suggesting to you, if you look to the uncanniness of Jesus, that might give us a possible bridge.
We all know that there is no agency any living gent can see. Doing what is right for me is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
We don't got enough damn distillates. We need a distillate of the Jonathan Pajot and John Vervaeke Collective Intelligence Agencies 1 and 2 series. We need a new. Come on, Chris. You didn't appoint an heir to your throne, Mr. Pet Cow. How dare you? How dare you? Agency deck, agency keck, dart of the show is the 3 of clubs. Welcome, everybody. This is we have there's a long-standing Vervaeke crush. I think there might even be a playlist. And as I said, over here, our good friends, Regeneration Mike is the name of his podcast. Regeneration Mike. That's what it said. And anyway, the Regeneration podcast, these guys, where are these guys? Show these guys. Oh, you're terrible at this. You're terrible at this. Anyway, they got him to spill on Hermes, and we're going through that today because there's lots of like insider baseball I can pitch from this mound. Oh, it's Luke. Luke is here, and so is Kale. All right, then. Chad gets all the money given the grit. What? No, he's not my pimp. Why would you say such a thing? So I think what we need to do, especially since we want to make sure what happened to Kale over at Glowy's. I mean, at Agent Baxter's was legit. We'll probably practice making a distillate of that Kalen Baxter talk, but there's lots of distillates that need to be made now that we're on wave 8 of this little corner. Come on, you should have this one hotkeyed. We gotta have the character classes should be leveling up. Blue is ace, inverted ace for the blue church card of the show. But it's what we lovingly refer to as the Soap Street Paper Company, and we might need to incorporate and have it start its own channel for the distillates. I don't know how all this works. But what character classes are there, Grim? Well, there's Reapers and Loomers, and I don't know the music ones. There's dilettantes, and there's speakers. There's pontificators. You guys can help me remember and make up the classes. It's the TLC LARP RPG, where we're starting to see classes and proficiencies, because that's how we.
I'm attacking the darkness.
Red card of the show is the 9 of spades. And now soon we'll be getting to the going through the lend of the voice part of this stream with this thumbnail, where we have to get into big ifs. Both lend of the voice and big ifs are contained in this fancy regeneration podcast. We're going to be going through probably about 10 minutes of it and leave all the good stuff for you to go watch and give them the plus view count over there. Welcome. I hope you're feeling virtually not alone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal, those of you who give me money, such as Ups, with his fancy pants donation of $20, some support for the Cates. That puts him in the Shadow Cabal. You could be too. Just give me money. Thank you, guys. Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all. All right, now, so we're jumping in. Stop it. We're jumping in now to right about here.
And then what often ends up happening is people try to sort of do it in an autodidactic frag.
Just kind of had this experience. Well, that was something serious just happened, and it just so happened that day was Sunday, or we went on our way home, and we stopped at the Hare Krishna temple because they used to always have a feast on Sunday afternoons and prayers and stuff, and that just happened to be a big feast day of Krishna. I can't remember which one it was, and I told one of my friends there what had happened. He said, "Oh yeah, I can see that." Now I hadn't thought too much about that for a long time until just last summer when I was out scything in the meadow across from our house, and I started, and there was thunder in the distance, and I started thinking about that experience. It was some 35 years ago, and I didn't have at that time anybody to talk to about that, to give me reflection, and other than people who didn't have kind of a philosophical or intellectual grounding or spiritual grounding to offer me any advice. So I didn't really bury it, but I didn't think.
I learned about Hermes through the Freemasons, says Salaman Trismussen. Well, Salaman, we'd love to hear more. Probably better in the comments section. Dolly says she can't hear. Everybody else seems to be able to. I don't know what to tell you. Today we're going through this the Vervaeke over on Regeneration podcast with the Sophiologist here, who's been on the show talking to me about farming sometimes. Let's see, what do we on the clock? We got half an hour before Pastor Paul's thing starts. We got some time for some branding.
I'm not a cat.
This means that the individual psyche is far from being safely synthesized. On the contrary, it threatens to fragment only too easily under the onslaught of unchecked emotions. While this situation is familiar to us from the studies of anthropologists, it is not so irrelevant to our own advanced civilization as it might seem. We, too, can become dissociated and lose our identity. We can be possessed and altered by moods, or become unreasonable and unable to recall important facts about ourselves or others, so that people ask, "What the devil has gotten into you?" We talk about being able to control ourselves, but self-control is a rare and remarkable virtue. PRN cannot spell today. McMo says he's got an idea for branding, and Chad says he's working on a new one with Mickey, which is great because his last one with Mickey is super, super disturbing. Super, super disturbing. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're feeling virtually not alone. You can chat in the Hive Mind for a +2 on the next stream savings throws. Just like that. Just like that. And maybe if you say the right thing or give me money, I might even put it on the screen. We got some PVK coming up, so let's dive in deep to this. Let's see when Verveki starts talking. Hey, Tayo. Oh,
Think about it a whole lot, but it was always present. But when I saw your video with Jordan the other week, that's the first thing I thought of was my experience. And I wonder if you could.
Now, if I was classy and prepared at this point, when he just said, see, you can do like a, while you're presenting it, kintsugi cut. So I could have gone over here to this tab instead and done Hermes, Jordan Peterson, Verveki, and see if we could have the spot where he says, where it appeared like a Sango Pop. Here it is. Here it is. You can find it like this. The outer limits of cognitive science. Outer limits. Nice callback. Nice callback there they did. Somewhere in here.
I was very much struck by how...
Stop it. Stop it. You can go to... watch. This is how you do. You go down to more, and then all the way down here, you go to, where's the transcript? There it is. Show the transcript. And then you use your magic Control F on your browser and say Psycho. And there's 22, and you fumble through it until you see where he says Psycho Pomp. And that should be what you're looking for. It's one of these psychoanalysts, psychoanalytics, metapsychology, and pomp. Where's the pomp? Okay, he says very much akin. Here, just play this part. Okay, so it's from this talk they did when he's in this blue suit.
are very much akin to the terms we've been using to describe consciousness itself, because God is the thing that confronts the pluripotential chaos. And that's really, if you look at what...
The pluripotential chaos. The pluripotential chaos. The pluripotential chaos. Okay, so it's from that talk that this guy just referenced.
But it was always present.
Him talking about the Hermes incident, and that now he's going to talk about it on his show.
But when I saw your video with Jordan the other week, that's the first thing I thought of was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you could share with us what that experience was, and maybe.
Oh, and if I didn't actually play it for you, the part that Mike had the experience is he saw like Krishna riding a horse across the water or something.
Talk about what you think that means.
Sure. I want to first comment on what you just said, because I think it's important. I think one proper dimension of the meaning crisis is not only this wisdom famine that we've been talking about, it's also that people, it's probably, I mean, I've heard different estimates, somewhere we...
Did you catch that new fancy buzzword, ladies and gentlemen? Wisdom famine. Pestilence.
Between 30 and 40% of the population have anomalous experiences. And many people do not have, and that seems to be flow relatively independent of their religious background. There are atheists reporting these and writing books about them. But the thing is, we have no framework with which to provide.
We have no framework for the anomalous stuff. It's anomalous. That's what makes it that's why it's an anomaly.
People how to properly metabolize these experiences, and then what often end up happening is people try to sort of do it in an autodidactic, fragmented way, which can
Auto, it means self. They do it, didact is some kind of learning, self-learning way. They do it in the self-learning way. They try to figure it out on their own damn selves.
often be very self-deceptive and harmful. And so
but people are usually full of shit. So when they're doing it for themselves, by themselves, they're usually full of shit.
I just want to comment. I think the fact, not only is there a wisdom famine dimension to the meaning crisis, there's a lack of a framework to help people process these experiences. That
I totally have one. I have a framework for you.
Seem to have a very high spontaneous rate within the population, and then we can add in people who are doing practices to induce them, and of course then the psychedelic renaissance is also pushing.
There's another one. Let's market that. We got wisdom famine now, and mushroom. No, psychedelic renaissance. Psychedelic renaissance, guys. That's a new term. We got a new word, everybody. Write it down. Your autoerotic didactic asphyxiation. Who's to say it's self-deceptive? There is no self without the we. Agree, neutrino. Agree.
Them, and so I'm making an argument that I think there's even a moral obligation to start asking ourselves, and I want to do it philosophically and scientifically. I'm a cognitive scientist. What is a proper framework that we could bring to bear upon these experiences, such that people could metabolize them and realize them as the cultivation of virtue and wisdom, and not spin them off into narcissism or go down rabbit holes of their own personal magical metaphysics or whatever, right? There's all kinds of ways in which people spin off from these things.
There's all kinds of ways people spin off from these things. Their own
or go down rabbit holes of their own
narcissistic rabbit holes of personal magical metaphysics. Now let me tell you about the time I talked to Hermes.
Phenomenological detail is greater. Like you get things that are really interesting. Like Ali and I were talking about this, that when it goes longer, people initially they're sort of super fascinated with the content.
Oh, this is the great bit where they're talking about IV drips of DMT.
Of the experience, the entities. But when it gets extended, they many of them flip to, they're more interested in how, like they're more interested in the process rather than the content. And then they start to take.
So like essentially your mind adapts into the DMT prolonged state the same way you adapt to whatever dream you wake up in.
Take responsibility, like how am I like and you get and that's just because we now understand better the chemical, we have the technology, we can properly put people in a safe space, we understand we have to get multiple people and get them talking to each other, like we have better research techniques. And Michael, that's
if we do it together and talk to each other, it's better than the research techniques.
Just one example of many things.
The list?
Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room?
I want to cast magic missile.
The
room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet.
I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting magic missile.
Why are you casting magic missile? There's nothing to attack here.
I'm attacking the darkness.
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys know it, but Kale Zeldin is our enemy in the Denim War. And if you would like to side with Denim or Denny and are a member of the channel, please indicate so by using your Denim or Denny emoji now in the Hive Mind. You do it by typing :Denny : and then it shows Kale what's what. It shows Kale what's what. Welcome. This is the Big If stream. Let's see if we can get to the big ifs. They're in here somewhere.
And work, partying in sort of cutting edge who with his life. There's a question to just ask. An experiment. You would have thought this would have been done. It's a correlation, but it was an empirical study, I should say. Is there a correlation between having mystical experiences and enhanced meaning in life? There's a question to just ask, right? And the answer is, unsurprisingly, yes. But when you try and look at, but what is actually mediating that? It's not so much the content. It's something that looks like more like the insight machinery, something like what's going on when people have that aha insight experience.
Right.
And that tells you something real.
Aha! I think I can find the part I'm looking for if I used our magical Control F and say master. No, why not? Oh, because you don't have the transcript open. You got to go down and open the transcript. Are you? Yeah. Okay. What? This is what it looks like when I do it. Sometimes I just play some branding.
I'm not a cat.
Remember, Embody, there is no agency. We want what's best.
All right. I am going to find the spot. But it turns out we're currently at 22 minutes and 33 seconds into it. So I will find the spot right after this.
Really interesting about mystical experiences and their potential relationship to flow experiences, etc. I don't want to. I mean, I have, and I do talk about that at great length. But I'm just trying to give you a taste of how I could answer that question.
And it's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would add, I mean, it's also my experience as a musician and poet is the experience of the beautiful, right?
Yes.
Which I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the wonderful, I kind of call him a new age guitarist, Michael Hedges, who died in 1997. We're really
What? Okay, so now we find the spot we're looking for by going over into the thing and typing our masterful Control F and then typing master and then there it is. So we'll go to that part. It's about another 3 minutes deep. We were going to get there. Let's go. Let's see. We'll take it back. There we go. There. You're in ecology of practices. Okay, here we go.
That's really crucial to being rational. And so, I think of sort of 4 dimensions of the dialogical. We talk about DIME, the dialogical, the imaginal, the mindful, and the embodied as sort of 4 dimensions you want to be making sure you're touching on if you're trying to call.
Touching me. All right, so we got 4 dimensions we're supposed to remember now. Hold on.
Sort of 4 dimensions. It's really crucial to being rational.
Crucial.
And so, I think of sort of 4 dimensions of the dialogical. We talk about DIME, the dialogical, the imaginal, the mindful, and the embodied.
The dialogical, the imaginal, the mindful, and the embodied. All right, hold on. No. The dialogical, the imaginal, the mindful, and the embodied. All right, one more time. All right. The dialogical, the imaginal, the mindful, and the embodied.
As the mind explores the symbol, it is led to ideas that lie beyond the grasp of reason. The wheel may lead our thoughts toward the concept of a divine sun, but at this point, reason must admit its incompetence. Man is unable to define a divine being. When was all
All right. We got to get there. We're on a timestamp. We got the big Pastor Paul attention grab. We're going to steal away the audience, steal away the hive mind, leave me sitting here alone talking about Reiki, and then we do the hokey pokey. Okay. Remember those. That's like which of the 4 P's is activated in each of these. You know what I mean? You know.
Has been literally decades wrapped around. It was not just scientific exploration, but it was also personal. I was doing some IFS, the self-therapy work, and the book.
We made it. We made it. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. We've made it to deliver on the thumbnail image. Big ifs. Big ifs. Big IFS. Like, what the hell is that? Because, like, all right, check this out. If I'm remembering it right, when I started in this whole gig, I was working with the crazy guy who thought he had the guardian angel and like a little redhead kid who was selling fragment parts, what you call it, gestalt therapies. I think that's where I started. And then today was this.
Book was especially written. And this is one of the pronouncements about IFS is it's very powerful for sort of self-therapy, especially if you sort of toggle between doing it by yourself, with yourself, and doing it with another person. And I was doing it with a very close friend of mine. Many of you might have seen him. He's the associate director of the Reiki Foundation now, Christopher Master Pietro, right? And we've done
that guy, the Master Pietro fella, that guy, he should still be within range of a corner interview slot grab. Like somebody ought to be able to get him on one of the flotilla channels. I think that's basically Reiki's handler. We should talk to him.
A lot of work together. We continue. He's next to my beloved partner. He is the most important person, that I have sort of a friendship with. I have a profound relationship with my kids, but they're my kids, and that's a different thing. Right. So we were doing IFS and doing it quite significantly, and there was both the therapeutic, tuning in, and I also got to talk to my good friend Mark Lewis about this, because not only is he a great neuroscientist, he's also a former addict, and he also is a strong believer in, I think that's the right way to put it, IFS. And so doing this and seeing, I have some criticism of Schwartz's ontology and his psychology, and I'm doing that science thing, and I'm also doing the therapeutic thing, and there's a healing process going on, and trying to deal with some deep issues around because of my upbringing. I have an anxious attachment style, and it was impacting my romantic relationships.
All right, how much time do we have left, John? I only got 9 more minutes. I'm not 9. I will have to do another masterful search to find the spot we want. Here we go. It's gonna be 2 minutes from now ish. So here we go.
Muse and the music. No,
how did you name it? How did you name it before, though? At all, this thing was there. Did you have any name for it?
I would just say
like your muse or anything. Yeah.
Well, no, and I should have, because Hermes is my muse. Hermes is both the muse and the musicality of my inner intelligibility, right?
Both the muse and musicality of my inner intelligibility.
But I would just say
your daemon, your angel, anything.
Yes. Okay. And I would just use very sort of tepid terms like intuition or the unconscious, which wasn't particularly helpful to me. It would be a theoretical label, but it didn't give me the kind of moral satisfaction I needed in order to make that not on not. And so in 2 ways, both, and each one of these is just an example of a much richer ongoing things. This is how the relationship's unfolding.
It's just an inversion. No. I don't know. I don't mean that. No, I didn't. No. No, 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 no. Yeah, no, no, no. I think that's right. No, 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 no.
It's only, it's almost always internal, but it's sort of internal, external, insofar as I'm writing, right? And it's that, again, that you give voice, and then the voice takes on a life of its own.
We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We've also hit upon the title of the stream today, Lended the Voice. Lended the Voice. But you can see all these processes he's doing to create his Hermes demon. We can scale fractally upward into the way that you, as you create me. If you do you see that?
But there was one time where I actually had what I would call a visionary experience. I was getting into bed, and that presence seemed outside of me, and it seemed like an angel completely in bronze, and it was just sort of startling to me. And then when I sort of dialogued about it, was like, yeah, don't make a big deal of it. That was just helpful, right?
Mhm.
And okay.
Well, no,
So
it's
that's about it.
It's interesting when you mentioned
What?
Hermes, I mean, the guide of souls. I mean, because it's kind of what you do for a living, right?
No, I don't think I covered this thoroughly enough, and I think you should probably watch it in full and give that regeneration podcast thing their review. It's like under 300 at the moment, and it's a Reiki appearance. But essentially, what happened is they used this ifs thing to create little fragments that you dialogue with, and apparently, like, I don't know what fragments they make of it, like, but so there's the really cool internet me, and there's the sad, lonely me, and there's the frustrated with. Anyway, you make different me's, and then you LARP as them in your therapy sessions or on pen and paper, and you get, and then eventually those things become tulpas, much like the the one that watches you when you do the squirting, like those other tulpas. You make some tulpas, right? And what happened with Reiki is eventually he made all his own little tulpas, and then some big his right brain kicked in and said, "No, I'm going to operate this tulpa," and made its own. But it's because like basically what you think of yourself is your left brain self, and you got this whole right brain that's trying to yell at you the whole time through your dreams and stuff. Anyway, bronze statue, big ifs, big IFFs. We should we circle around Pietro and really analyze what this IFS system is, and that's just enough of the show that it can be the show if we need to go. Let's see what else they say while I check the hive mind.
Yes.
The psychopomp. And also, I think it was in the interview with Jordan, but you use a word that I use quite often in my work, which is mitaxu.
Yes.
Right? It's the between.
Yes. That's what I meant about transjective. That's my word for that's my modern word for the metax.
The secret name says, "Do you make the parts or discover them?" We have to do one of them dilettante looks into it. Hey, PK Fabe. Jeremy hit the target. What did he say? Is he just doing Neoplatonism? I don't know. I haven't looked into Neoplatonism either. But that's what I'm saying is you people with eyes can look into things and show the big eye beholder. You see how a beholder works? Is I turn you all into these tiny little eye stalks, and then the big one is what shoots out for all the eye stalks to look at. It's like the big one is a projector beam. Okay.
It's neither subjective nor objective. It is that which binds them and guides between them and moves between them, like aletheia in Heidegger's sense. Right. And so, yeah, that and it's an ongoing thing. And now I've been I'm doing a lot of cognitive scientific research around this. Geiger's book on the third man factor, and Elderson Day's new book on presence. All the work on people who hear voices and are not schizotypical.
And because, unlike some other people, I don't start my stuff early to step on other people's live streams, we'll be wrapping this up now. We'll be wrapping this.
Now, what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody got a dime? I don't know.
But as we're wrapping it up to make way for some BS from Pastor Paul's channel, I decided to give you bonus savings throws, special savings throws against that particular BS right here, right now. You get those by choosing between survival, social, wisdom, or heart. As we take the train on out, choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Oh, we got a pair. We got survival coming in with an 8. Socialists, it's going to get you. He's got socialist BS. It's aimed at you. 4. It's coming at you. But the pair, wisdom and survival, both getting an 8. Hearts, folks, with an 18. Indigo kids, the number of transformation.
Bing, bing, boom, boom, boom.
So there, enjoy your savings throws against the whatever's coming up next over on Pastor Paul's. And we'll take the mandated exit train out. Have a lovely weekend.